What's happening, Carolina fans? Welcome to Two Fans in the Stands, a podcast related to all things Carolina Panthers and North Carolina Tar Heels. I'm your co-host, Tony.
And I'm your co-host, CJ.
Let's go. CJ, what's happening with you, cousin? How you feeling?
What's good, cousin? How you doing? I'm doing good.
Man, you know me as usual. Got 6 in one hand and half a dozen in the other. Guess I call it even.
Call it even.
Already. Well, let's get right to it. What are you looking for in this week's matchup with the Bengals?
For one, I'm looking for PJ Walker to continue to improve. I think he's done a very admirable job for us the past 2 weeks, and I think he can continue that. Okay. I'm looking for our defense to show back up this game because they were kind of absent at times in Atlanta, and I can't be too hard on them because they, especially C.J. Henderson and Dante Jackson, because like I said in the recap, you know, we give both of them hell damn near every week. But first drive for Atlanta, Dante Jackson, amazing one-handed interception. Overtime, you know, which we shouldn't have been in, but we were there. C.J. Henderson, right. Atlanta's first possession, comes up with the big pick, returns it all the way back to the red zone. And each time, Carolina was not able to capitalize on the plays that they made. All right?
Right.
But I want to see a better effort from the defense because even though it's kind of iffy if Jamar Chase is going to play or not, they still have a lot of capable receivers. And I don't want the get right Panthers to show up on defense again. I really, Panthers. Yeah. Defensively, I want the get right Panthers to stay in Charlotte and and to get some Panthers to travel to Cincinnati.
Right.
You know,
well, Jamar Chase is out this game. He's out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I know if ands and busts, but that one.
Well, no, they I don't think they put him on the IR because they just haven't.
No, they didn't put him on. They didn't put him on IR because if they do, he would have to miss a minimum of 8 games this time of the season. If he do that,
gotcha.
That's pretty much saying that he's going to miss the rest of the season. But
gotcha. Okay.
They say he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. But he'll probably be back sooner than later. But he's definitely not playing Sunday.
Well, I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
Already.
Yeah, I'll take that all day. But I mean, they still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and and their tight end. What's tight end? Hayden Hurst, I believe.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst.
You know, tight ends are not a strong point. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I believe we can handle that.
I don't want to go that far because I promise you, every time I think that we're going, you know, every time I say, okay, well, I'm a little bit optimistic about this week, it always goes south. It always goes south. And then, like with the Tampa Bay game,
that ain't a superstition in you, is it?
No, it ain't superstition. It's just it seems to be what happens. Because the Tampa Bay game, I was sure we was gonna go out there and get our asses whooped, and look what happened.
Facts. I was right there with you.
Yeah, you know,
I was praying. I was wishing upon a prayer for a victory, but I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, you know,
I didn't see that coming at all.
And I mean, and I was optimistic about Carolina's offense versus Atlanta's defense. Now, mind you, that played out. But I was also optimistic with our defense going against their offense, and that kind of fell through the floor. So,
right.
We'll see. But they all have to come together. They all have to show up together. They all got to play together. They got to be on one accord. And like I said, you know, the get right Panthers not need to make the trip to Cincinnati.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I
I
hope they
agree
do
with you on that
not
one.
show up because they 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 definitely helped Kyle Pitts out last week.
Listen, I'm gonna let last week stay in last week. Nope, I'm not gonna do it to myself. I'm not gonna. Nope,
Well,
nope.
that's what I'm here for. So hey,
Okay, all right. I am still a little emotionally charged from this Sunday. So it may take me a couple weeks to get over, to get over all this, and yeah, yeah. I'm not there yet. I'm in therapy.
okay, all right.
I'm in therapy.
But yeah, man, I'm just looking for a complete game. What about you?
Well, for me, consistency. Consistency. And defensively, that's where that consistency comes into play. Because I want to see the cornerbacks and the linebackers show more consistency throughout 4 quarters of a game. They need a better technique from the DBs and better tackling and gap control from the linebackers. Our linebackers this year has been, Lord, what they have been more than suspect.
Swiss cheese?
Like, yeah, they technically you can argue and make a strong case that the linebackers have been the weakest link on the defense, and that's
Yeah,
crazy because when you think about a team that produced Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, John Beeson, Dan Morgan, Sam Mills, we come from we have created a lineage of linebackers in our 27-year history in Carolina, and this core linebackers is like a Cabbage Patch Kids. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like patchwork. The only linebacker that is a holdover from the Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly era is Shaq Thompson, and he's not playing up to that standard. The
yeah,
leadership may be there, because he is, one of the two remaining veterans on the team from, our Super Bowl run in 2015, and he has that working for him. But as far as his production on the field, except for maybe the last two games where I felt like his tackling had become better, he just not the same linebacker we that we have come accustomed to seeing. And I think maybe that production was so high because he had Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. Now that
yeah,
he don't have them, it's like he's getting exploited. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
Shoulder Shack, as I like to call him.
yeah, the shoulder shot.
I'm serious, man. I am
Yeah.
serious. Go back and
No,
look at
you
that film from Atlanta game
listen.
and see where he tried to throw his shoulders into them two running backs and tried to tackle him, and they just looked at him like, peasant, and kept on running.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer not to go back and look at that because I thought we had turned the page and we were moving forward. So I refuse. I'm not. Nope. I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
But just I I was happy to see that CJ Henderson didn't get beat deep. It didn't get flagged for no crazy penalties, no
Yes.
pass interference or anything like that. What the only thing that I'm still upset with him with was his lack of effort on that Demir Bird touchdown. Like, okay, you didn't get beat over the top. Demir Bird made it seem like he was gonna run a deep post and he sat down on you, came back, caught the ball. Okay, he caught the ball in front of you. Bro, you run a 4.35. I know Demir Bird is fast, but hell, you fast too. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You was jogging after Demir Bird caught that pass. Like he gave no effort. And to me, it kind of like overshadowed, almost overshadowed all the good that he had done throughout the game. I'm like,
Yeah.
that was so disturbing to see because I have seen people mention it and I
Yeah.
have seen glimpses of it throughout other games, but at that particular moment, I don't know, maybe I was so tuned in to what was going on that I actually saw like firsthand and paid attention to it. I'm like, this mofracky is not even running to make the tackle. I
Yeah.
was like,
But
oh
you know
my
what though?
God.
It seemed like it didn't seem like he was the only one either though. It almost seemed like Demir Berg was running at level 10 and everybody else was stuck at 6. It was like they were all running in slow motion on that play.
Listen, Demir Bird looked like Tyreek Hill on that play.
He sure did. He sure
he could
did.
have threw up the peace sign and kept it moving, and you were sworn that was Tyreek Hill in Atlanta Falcons jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad it was.
Because I think two of our players almost ran into each other. Because Xavier Woods, I think it was Woods.
Yeah,
Like he had
Xavier
to stop
Woods,
almost
yeah,
to
and
keep from
Miles
running into somebody
Hartsfield.
else. Yeah. And after that was a wrap. Because like you said, C.J. Henderson was just kind of behind the play, like la da dee, la da da, and
Yeah,
the rest of them would get him, and they didn't get him.
exactly. But consistency from the cornerbacks and the linebackers throughout 4 quarters of a game, and they need to go. They need to go back each week. I coined the phrase for every Tuesday now, Technique Tuesday. I think every Tuesday before they
Okay.
get in the pads on Wednesdays, that they need to go back to the basics. They need to focus on strictly technique.
Mm-hmm.
That whole practice. Focus on technique. Go back to the basics. Then when you put the pads on Wednesday and come out, then you apply what you learned or brushed up on Tuesday, on Technique Tuesday.
Hey,
That's my opinion.
how about we follow Technique Tuesday with Assignment Wednesday?
Okay.
Hey, how about that? After
Yeah,
Technique
I'm with it.
Tuesday, we do Assignment Wednesday, especially when they run that damn zone, and they need to make sure that wherever spot you supposed to be at, whatever area you supposed to cover, you know where you at, and you know where your teammates at, because because that one play late in the game, Kyle Pitts went in motion and came across the field and was wide open. Everybody took off down the field with one of the receivers
That's
from Atlanta.
that's
They had one
yeah.
or two of our defenders on them, and they left him on the sidelines doing jumping jacks, waiting for the ball. So
That's
yeah,
the play. Yeah, that's the play I mentioned in the recap that they were playing zone and Shaq should have carried him to the
mm-hmm.
flat. But instead of like he started to carry him and then he fell back in the coverage for whatever reason, and that just left Kyle Pitts wide open on the sidelines
Wide
getting a
open.
drink of water. And Mariota realized he was still in the field of
Mm-hmm.
play. He was like, "Oh, I'll throw you the ball," and
Yeah,
that's what happened. And listen, I'm down with it. Technique Tuesday and Assignment Wednesday. So you
yeah.
heard it first with 2 fans in the stands. So if they want to coin that phrase, just give us some credit.
There
We'll
you
take
go.
that.
There you go.
We'll take that. And my other thing is, I would possibly I would like to see Carolina use a 5-man front, which in football term that's a bare front where you go to
Mm-hmm.
five defensive linemen or 5 down linemen and 2 linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
That's that old Buddy Ryan bear defense that he ran with and got famous with in Chicago.
Yeah.
I say that I say that because I believe that it will possibly help increase the pass rush up front. You know, when you play in a 5-man front and you got that nose tackle over the center, that eliminates double team or help for either guards.
Mm-hmm.
If you got that nose tackle playing the zero technique, that means heads up on the center, and you got your 2-3 technique defensive tackles, Ioannidis and Brown, playing the 3 technique, that helps create one-on-one matchups throughout the whole line.
Mm-hmm.
And we already seen what Dumb Truck Brown can do one-on-one. Ain't
Yeah.
nobody got you have to have a wing and a prayer to hope that you could possibly win that rep. And Ioannidis is pretty good in one-on-one situations. I'm seeing him get a lot of double teams in the games that I watched. I've seen Derek Brown dominate one-on-ones, but I'm seeing Matt Ioannidis get double teamed a lot. And I think you can eliminate that if you switch from a 4-man front to a 5-man front. And I think that would benefit the pass rush and also secure the run a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I would like to see them play around with that, and offensively, just build on what they've been doing. Continue to gel as far as the offensive line, and become more familiar with the offense as the weeks go on, and the playbook will continue to open up more. So offensively, I think they are ahead of where a lot of people projected them or thought they could be. And I'm glad that we see that we're able to spread the ball around. But I want to ask you a question. Have you noticed in the past 3 weeks that PJ Walker has been starting that we have not had one ball batted down?
Mm-hmm.
How tall PJ Walker?
Ooh. I don't
Let me
know.
help you out. He 5'10" without his shoes on.
Yeah.
So he's probably about like 5'11", 5'11 and a half.
Mm.
Needless to say, he's shorter than Baker. So I said that to say it ain't always all about how tall you are.
Yeah.
It's about your technique, your mechanics, getting the proper, drops, whether it's a 3-step drop, 5-step drop, getting the ball out your hands instead of sitting back there playing patty cake, burping the baby. Well, now you allowing the defensive ends, the defensive tackles to realize I can get to the quarterback. So by this time, as he get through burping the baby, I'll just stand here and get my hands up when he feel like throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
by that time, it's too damn late,
Yeah.
So I'm just glad to see the young man back there using the proper technique, or whatever it is that he's practicing on throughout the week, throughout training camp, throughout OTAs, is showing in the game. He looks calm. He looks like he's under control. He's getting the proper leverage, and he's getting the ball out. And you're not seeing the mistakes from the quarterbacks that we typically have seen in the past 2 years,
Yeah.
especially the first 4 or 5 games this year.
Well,
So I just wanted to point that out.
Wilk said today, I believe it was there yesterday, that they're not going to commit to naming him the starter for the rest of the season. So I pray that he continues to play well, because I hope it's not
Right.
one of these situations where he has a bad game and then they're going to be like, all right, well, well, if he does and they take him out, maybe by then Darnold will be back and then we can see what Sam does. But I got a feeling that if he does have a bad game or two, they're going to turn back to Baker Mayfield.
I heard him say that in the press conference, and I took it as just continue to go out there week in and week out and continue to do the things that you've been doing. Because the way I look at it is, I don't think he wants to allow PJ Walker to get comfortable and possibly fall back into some old habits. Keep
True.
that pressure on him. Keep making him making him think that you are playing for your position on a week by week basis.
Yeah.
if that's what I have to do, if that's what we have to do to continue to get this version of PJ Walker, then I'm fine with it. I'm
Indeed,
fine with it.
indeed, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Let's just
I'm
hope that
totally
holds
fine
true.
with it. Yeah, I hope it holds true. But like I said, that's just what I took from the press conference, um, and I just hope it's some Jedi mind trick, that they plan, and so far it's working. So far it's working because I honestly believe he knows he doesn't have room for too many errors, and his chances of continuing to play in the National Football League, this may be the last opportunity that he really gets to play quarterback. So I think he's trying to seize the moment, take control of it, and take control of it and run with it.
Hey,
But
well,
don't let him get too comfortable. Don't let him get too comfortable to the point where he feel like, okay, it's my team now. We made it. I'm good. And now you done started falling back into old habits. Nah, keep that pressure on him. Keep that's how I feel. That's what I took from
hey, I can agree with that all
it.
day, every day.
So you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, that's it. That's it. I just hope for a great game this weekend, and I hope they can pull out the W.
Yeah,
I hope
me.
I would love for them to pull out the W and then come back Thursday night and exact a little bit of revenge for this past week's game.
I think that's why I'm not over what happened Sunday, because I am so ready for Thursday. Like I have kind of looked past what's coming Sunday, and my mind is already on next Thursday. I know that's
Yeah,
wrong,
it's
but my
wrong.
mind is already there.
Well, don't worry. I'll be here to remind you.
Yeah, well that's why I'm watching the game and not playing the game, so I can forecast a little bit.
Oh God, man, take us out.
Well, hold up. But hey, how you doing fantasy this week? I see that you and
Oh,
the my missus played each other. Y'all didn't even go back and forth when y'all talked a couple times. I was like, do they
hey, man,
even realize that they play each other this week?
huh. Hey, I kicked ass and took names this weekend, buddy. I swear I did. I swear I did, man. Let me tell you,
Yeah,
between oh my goodness, Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs didn't really show up for me much at all this week. But yeah,
yeah,
I had a good one this week. So I've deemed myself the best of the worst. So we'll see if I can slither my way up on into the into the spots in the playoff bracket to fight for the title. So
yeah.
we'll
I'm
see.
I'm I'm a I'm gonna call myself the comeback kid this week because it wasn't looking too good for the home team
Oh,
going to that Monday night matchup, and
you got lucky as hell. Oh, you got
yeah, I
lucky.
put
Boy, you got
yeah,
lucky that Joe
I
Burrow
pulled
had
it
a
out.
dud.
Listen, I ain't never been a Cleveland Browns fan until Tuesday morning.
Hey, I did not see that game going like that. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't really watch most of the game. And when I turned back and saw the final score, I was like, crap. And then I went and saw your matchup and I was like, oh, I said, oh, he got lucky.
Yeah,
Especially after the week that Burrow had last week. And I was like,
yeah,
if he could have came close to that, yeah, your shit would have sunk for just that week. But yeah, hey, but you know what? Fantasy football, you gotta take it when however it comes
ain't
and
that the
roll
truth?
with it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna take my little three
I
and
was
five self and march on in the next week.
yeah, I was curious. I was curious to see how well Joe Burrow was going to do because I knew that he wasn't going to have Jamar Chase, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Like
Yeah.
it, I mean, he still threw I think 2 3 touchdowns, but he threw 2 interceptions. And he was sacked 5 times.
Yeah, his
So
line didn't do him no favors at all.
yeah, so the difference of my opponent last week playing Joe Burrow and me playing Nick Chubb, that was the difference of my comeback right there. And I
Yeah,
played Terrace Marshall. In my flex. He got me 13 points. So I
that's
was happy
good.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
Across all my fantasy leagues, I swear, it seems like I get the best of what my opponent has every week. Like they could
Right.
have 4 duds in a row, but you know how I always call them the get right Panthers. Well, I
Yeah.
must be get right in fantasy because it seems to happen in all my fantasy leagues except for one. But in the rest of them, I get everybody's best effort when they play me. It hasn't failed this whole season.
Well, I would definitely take my 7-1 record and be happy about it.
Yeah, you better.
Holding it down in the East Division. Well, that would do it for us on Two Fans in the Stands Week 9 preview of the Carolina Panthers versus the Cincinnati Bengals at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check us out after the game as we give a full game recap of the Panthers and Bengals matchup. And as always, Panthers Nation, keep pounding.